My mother was in a nursing home. I began to fight back against the nursing home for neglecting her. They weren't caring for her. I believed they were over-medicating her. I saw signs of neglect on my mother, and I began to speak up, trying to get help for her. And the nursing home wanted to keep me quiet. I was becoming a problem for them. So they hired a law firm that happened to be very connected to the Democratic Party. And one thing led to another, and that law firm actually pursued getting a guardianship for my mother. I thought for sure that this guardian would be the voice of reason, that this would be the person that would advocate for my mom. And this particular guardian never even took the time to learn how to pronounce my mother's name. And she became nothing more than really an extension of the law firm that was looking to litigate and get money from the estate or get money from me or any other way that they could make legal fees.
So what happened next?
So what happened next is the nursing home said that, I owed them a very large bill because I was refusing to pay them because they weren't caring for my mother, and I was hiring private aides and doing what I could to keep her safe. And they ended up, making a call, and I guess they had some friends in the federal government, and next thing you knew, you had a federal prosecutor, and eventually they found $17,000 that they said that they were going to charge me with misappropriating. And, I decided that rather than fighting the federal government, which seemed like it was going to be a witch hunt between, me, my husband's a lawyer, I didn't know what was going to be next. I was scared. I decided that I would take the plea deal. What's the worst that could happen? A $17,000 misdemeanor for somebody that's never been accused of anything. I've never had anything more than a speeding ticket. My lawyers advised me that, chances were I'd get a small probationary term, maybe 6 months of probation, not to worry. And they sentenced me to 30 days in a maximum security prison for misappropriating $17,000 of my mother's Social Security money because they said that money legally should have gone to the nursing home and not to paying to care for my mom. It wasn't my money to convert.
What was your first thought when that sentence came down? I can't even formulate the words now. It was unbelievable. It was, not what my lawyers expected, not what I expected. It was tragic, but also eye-opening. I felt somewhat empowered when I walked out of there that day. And I know that sounds crazy, but I knew that whatever I was doing was making a difference. In some ways, I kind of look at it now like a bucket list item that I've checked off. I tend to be an optimist. I like to, see things on the bright side. And when you're in a moment like that and you're in this dark place, you have to find something to motivate you. So I decided that I would go in there and I would learn as much about the people there as I could. And I really met some of the most interesting human beings that I've ever met in my life. Can you give us a highlight?
I can. I had someone who actually was my concierge while I was in there, and she was the first person that I met, and she gave me my brown washcloth and my soap and my toothbrush, and she was totally different than a lot of the people that I'm friendly with here on the outside, and she was a little scary looking. I mean, she had a face tattoo and some neck tattoos and gold teeth and really long hair, and she was just very, very big and burly and, kind of seemed like she could kick my butt if she wanted to.
What was she in for?
She was actually there for drugs and violence and a gun crime. And a lot of these people that were there were violent criminals. And
Maximum
I
security.
decided, she's going to be my friend. And she was a great person, and she became my friend. I said to her, I need to talk to somebody. Can we talk later? And she kind of looked at me like sure, and later on she goes, I heard about you. I know who you are. And she goes, I heard what they did to your mom. And I said, wow. And she goes, my mom's 80 years old and I'm all she has. And I have one request. When you leave, will you take care of my mom?
Oh.
And at that point, I just my guard was totally down, and I was like, you know what? I want to know who these people are even more, because here you have this person who on the surface was a pretty scary looking person. You seemed, it was intimidating. You didn't know what to think. You didn't know how she was going to treat you. And here was this compassionate human being that was just worried about my mom as no one.
and she's 80 years old and she has cancer, and can you promise me that you'll take care of her? So she kind of became my buddy and my protector, and she goes, who are those people in the hotel that help you when you check in? And I said, the concierge, and she goes, that's what I'm going to be for you. There were a lot of people there that were good to me, and a lot of them were there for scary things. My bunkmate was there for manslaughter.
Wow.
And, she had two personalities. She had one personality that was very combative and scary, and then she also was a big fan of Carrie Underwood and read the Bible and would serenade me with song at night. So, you learn that people are, in a lot of ways, a product of their environments, and we have a culture of criminality in this country. I learned about people that come from disadvantaged neighborhoods that really aren't given a fair shake in life, that there's a system that we have in this Bureau of Prisons where they treat these people like a commodity product, and it was eye-opening.
What did you learn about this country that you didn't know?
I learned that we're losing our freedoms more and more every day, and my parents, I'm a first-generation American. My parents came here from Austria. They escaped the Nazis. My father was 11, my mom was 6, and my father would say to me every single day growing up, you don't know how quickly your freedom can be taken away. You don't know how quickly things could change in this country, and I'm afraid for this country because I see things that are changing. And as he got older in his 70s, and my parents were part of the Democrat Party. My parents were Kennedy Democrats. My parents were Jewish, and they felt that they needed to vote blue. But as my father got older, he started to open his eyes that the party wasn't aligned with the values that he took so seriously. And he realized as a Jewish man that the party was no longer aligned with his ideals. And, communism and socialism are only a step away if we allow these things to creep in. And in 1928, Austria voted for democratic socialism, and that's what destroyed the economy. And that's the reason the Nazis were able to invade. This entire COVID episode has really been a test of socialism in this country, and people need to wake up to the fact that they are being controlled. And when they talk about mandatory vaccinations and giving people papers so they can go to a restaurant or they can go to school, it's very reminiscent of Nazi Austria, and it's very, very scary that that's happening now and people aren't seeing it. But I truly believe that in my father's country, in his home country of Austria, a lot of people didn't see it when it was happening there either, and they ignored it. And that's why 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust, is because people didn't see it coming. And it's scary.
I'm the national